Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Michael Rebello. I'm a 20-year-old real estate entrepreneur who chose entrepreneurship over the traditional college path. My goal and my fuel and drive to do this is the goal to retire my mom and to help middle Americans like her realize that multifamily real estate is something that she can invest in and learn about. So that's why I'm working with the Main Street Media Network and trying to teach as many people about education, about finance, just open their eyes. But I am joined with Christina today. Christina, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Michael,
so much
for having me on the show. This
Of course.
is great. I love it. And I love your story, Michael. Like just being 20 years old and saying, I'm going to choose, because I'm all about choice. You're choosing. He's choosing to not go to college. It doesn't fit for him. He's choosing to create his own path at 20, willing to put the work in, right, to work hard, to earn your way. And I like to say, and I don't know what your followers are, but Spirit or God meets you at the point of action. When you make that choice and you commit to it clearly inside yourself, there's a magnetism, like a synergy that shows up that will drive you forward. And when that synergy is there, listen to that synergy. Right? I've been watching you guys and what you guys have been doing here at this conference, and that synergy is present. And it's driving you forward, and it's driving forward what you want to create. And that, to me, is the power of choice.
Absolutely. And you hit it right on the head with that, Christina. And it's the choice that we realize we don't have. Like, a lot of my friends and colleagues just think, go to college, get the job, retire someday, then you pass away, and then the whole cycle begins again for their kids.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something completely different. Something, like Robert Frost says, take the path less traveled.
Right.
And I wanted to do that. But Christina, tell us about your story. What do you do and how you got to this point to where you are today? Love to hear about it.
Okay, that's a long story because I'm 50. I'm 57, and I started investing at 17. So that's literally 40 years of investment story. So we'll not do that. What we will do is thank my mom. She got me in as an investor. She gave me my first property.
Awesome.
And my why, which I think is what's most important in the investing story, is my daughter. So when I was a kid, my mom was an entrepreneur, single parent, and she had 3 kids. And her way of raising us was to run her business and then interact with us when she could. As a kid, I went, well, I'm just not important to my mom, clearly, right? I mean, how much time does she spend with me? My sister's practically raising me. She's frustrated and anxious about money. And so I grew up in this stressful household. And my mom would be very late to pick me up from school, which my sister couldn't do because she was only 5 years my senior. So I'm preschool, I'm 5 years old, my sister's 10, she can't come get me. And I really took that to heart in a way I think my mother never intended. So my why was I wanted to pick up my children from school on time. That was meaningful to me. I wanted to be the parent I could choose to be, the power of choice. So I waited until later to have children, and my real estate was my financial freedom. And it gave me the power to be the mom I wanted to be.
Wow. That is such an amazing story. And it's the fact that you saw what your mother was doing. At the time, you didn't understand.
I didn't understand it. Now I know she was giving me shelter and food.
Yep.
Hugely important.
Oh, 100%. But then when you start to realize that there was a bigger mission to that this was much more than you actually thought it was like, wow, I could do the same for my daughter, except do it differently. And, just provide as much as I can while spending as much time with them as possible. That's what my mom has done. Like, when she had me, I was the eat and sleep kid. I love to eat and sleep. And she would work a lot, but she would work at the night shifts where she would put me to bed. And, once I'm fast asleep, she does a shift. When I wake up, she's there. It's like, I never knew.
Right.
And then later on, she comes to tell me that I was working more than I could handle just to keep the roof above our head.
Yes.
And to raise you properly and to spend as much time with you as possible.
Right.
Because family is everything, because we're Portuguese, Mediterranean. So it's like family is right up there in the list of things. It's like God, family, then food. That's it. I mean,
it is kind of that way. Yep,
it's very similar, yes. But in essence, not for me to go on a tangent, it's the aspect that you want to have these goals and aspirations, and but at the same time, you want to stay close to those goals as much as possible personally. Like, for example, retire my mom. I want to spend as much time with her, but I realize that I go down these rabbit holes with real estate and what I do, And I'm like, wow, I haven't spent a lot of time with her today. So let me
Right.
just rewind really quick and just spend some time with her. And then I can go back to doing deals and raising capital or going to events like, for example, the New Orleans Investment Conference. So
Yeah.
thank you for bringing up that story. I love it. But what do you currently do right now is my question.
So I invest privately. So I consider it 5 silos. I have 5 different business silos. So I'm a real estate investment advisor. So that means I'm a registered investment advisor, specifically specializing in the asset of real estate. And I lay on top of that, I have a master's in spiritual psychology, and so I lay on top of that the conversation about purpose. What does it mean to be at choice, fulfilling your purpose on the planet? Whether you believe in a higher source or not doesn't matter, because we all know inside of us, in our hearts and in our back of our minds, we're meant to be doing something. We have that life, that vision in our head of what a purposeful, satisfied life would mean. If I could do this, I'd feel on purpose and satisfied with my day. And many entrepreneurs work harder than they would work for any company. Why? Do they do it joyfully? Because they have that sense of purpose and choice. I'm creating it. It's my area of mastery. It's my field. I love that authenticity, that ownership, that possibility. I'm doing. It's because you're on purpose. You're creating a sense of purpose. So we discuss purpose first. We discuss the design of your life. Where are you starting? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? So now you're at choice, right? And then we design the real estate portfolio or the investment portfolio as a whole based upon that trajectory. Now, how does real estate serve you and investments serve you in growing to where you want to go? As a father, as a mother, as a future provider for legacy, as somebody who wants to be able to create a business model that's going to change the planet, what is it that you're driven to do? Now we create that plan.
Interesting. I love that. And talking about purpose, there's people that join these industries, whether it's oil, gold, silver, copper, real estate, it doesn't matter. Sometimes they don't have a purpose. They don't even know what their mission is, like what's their why.
They don't
and
know
I
why
love
they're
to
going.
I love to hear stories like, for example, like your story. That is a huge purpose-driven story. Like when you have a purpose that drives you, like for example, my story. My purpose is to retire my mom and help others like her.
Right.
But if you don't have that purpose, it's almost like the work you're doing is shallow.
Yeah.
Like, what's the reason for it
What's the
exactly?
reason for it?
So just to touch upon that, I know there's a lot of mindset that goes a lot into something like that and identifying it. What kind of a mindset shift would a lot of people today would need to make in order to find their purpose, find their value, and just go for it?
For me, and my thinking, the way I contemplate is knowing you have the permission, and I literally mean the permission, from yourself, from your family, from your tribe, from your higher source, whatever you get permission from, that you have permission to choose your life. Period. I often have couples in my practice, right? Men who are working really hard, wives who want to retire, they don't want to be a dual household anymore, the man wants to retire someday as well. And we talk about like this concept of, well, what am I doing in my business? Well, I'm providing for my family. That's what I want to do. I want to provide for my family. And I'm like, I get that. You want to provide for, and you've done a great job providing for your family. Are you satisfied with what you've created? And that's a very important question, I think, for a man in his 40s and 50s. And that right there, am I satisfied with what I've created? And
Right.
sometimes they're very satisfied. I'm a big part of a company. I love the contribution I've made. The company's really moving forward. I might be an employee, but I see what I've created. That's great. Perfect. Or no, I'm not. How do I get permission from myself to be a provider for my family in a different way?
Ooh.
Because that duty is central to them. It's they feel they're fulfilling their purpose. I'm providing for my family, but not on all levels. I'm participating monetarily in making my family better, but I'm not participating as a dad. Or I'm participating monetarily, but I don't feel like I'm getting traction in the business. I don't really feel like I'm contributing there. So where do I get permission from myself to have my professional life provide for my family and fulfill my purpose? It starts with your own permission.
Ooh.
Period.
I love that. It's almost like we talk about ownership, especially here on the Main Street Media Network with Russell Gray, what he's doing, what I'm
Yes.
doing,
Yes.
what a lot of the
Yes.
speakers here are doing. They're talking about ownership, something tangible. Not investing in like stocks that's not tangible, but something that's like bigger that, like, for example, your mission and just trying to help people. And knowing that with doing it differently, you understand that if you do it differently, it's not only yours, but it's the way that you want it. And taking ownership. Ownership is huge, like owning real estate, owning gold, owning silver. Not passive, but just owning it. It's so different. It's a huge mindset shift. Like,
It is.
When I was in high school, I thought, ownership is for like all the big companies and big investors out there.
Right.
And when I came to realize in junior year, senior year that, oh wait, I can own real estate, I can own stock and gold, or I can own mining companies. I'm like, I might as well just do that. So ownership and taking ownership of your life is just super crucial.
Yeah. I talk about financial leadership is one of the primary things I feel like I teach. Whether I teach it to my students, right? So I've said I have 5 different silos, right? So I have ITI, is investor to investor. And that's the silo where we actually teach younger people how to invest in real estate. We also teach them mindset. We have our leadership program, advanced leadership program, and Shape Your Future. Not too surprising as a title, the Shape Your Future program. That's specifically about having people understand financial leadership is a choice that you make in order to be in charge of your finances as a whole, whether that's your personal finances, your family's finances, your jobs, whatever. But that stepping into leadership, period, is where the satisfaction is. And what I tell them all the time is, here's the trick. When you choose it today, your freedom starts today. Abundance isn't about having the 3 million or the 5 million or the 10 million or the 20 million in the bank. Abundance is I choose today, and the moment I trust myself to stay with my choice, I have freedom.
Ooh.
Period.
Yes.
Period. My life is about building my freedom. Even if I'm working 100 hours a week, my life is now about building my freedom. I'm in leadership. I'm going to say a lot of words I'm not allowed to say.
Fill in the blank, right?
Fill in the blank.
Oh, yeah.
Fill in the blank. But it's top to bottom. So top is I make the choice, I align with a higher purpose, or I align with purpose in general. And the bottom is I get the physical education, and I join communities, and I talk to people, right? Whether it's the Main Street media or whether it's the Ever Forward mindset, I listen to podcasts specifically to be able to get myself the education so that I'm putting myself on the street, doing the diligence to build that life. That's where the self-trust comes from. And that's where the alignment comes from. That happens when you make the choice and do the work, you're there. You don't have to wait.
Absolutely. And there's something that I want to share with my audience that it's nobody else making the choice. It's not your mentor. It's not your peers. It is you making that choice. And that's the thing. It's almost like the war against yourself. It's like, what do you want? But also you have to go against you. Mm-hmm. It's like your strongest and worst opponent, but yet your greatest ally is right in the mirror. It's like you have to master that. You have to master that mirror to go, okay, am I my enemy or am I my friend right now?
Yeah.
And it's very difficult nowadays, especially with just economic uncertainty, political uncertainty, just world uncertainty. Like Adam Tagger, I was talking to him. He's like the everything bubble, and I laughed because I'm like, it's so true.
Yes.
Because everything's like at this bubble, and there's like this hidden pin. I don't know where it is, but eventually it's gonna pop. I don't know when it's gonna pop.
It will. Cycles are repeating. We breathe in, we breathe out.
Yep.
The ocean comes in, the ocean goes out. We always seem to like, I guess, breathing in better than breathing out. Maybe that's what it is. Because we sure like the economy better when it's breathing in than it's breathing out.
That's true.
I tease about it. But I mean, I have lived through several cycles, and 2009 was incredibly difficult for me. Part of my story of really understanding a new level of financial leadership was having my absolute backside handed to me almost 100% in that downturn, and the humility of learning from that, so important. So just not pretend it's always uphill. It's not. It's not always, an upward trajectory. It's not. There are ups and downs.
Oh, absolutely. And like, for example, 2008, 2010, it was a very rough patch. Of course, I was just an infant during that.
Yeah. No, that was not your time period. But I was there.
Absolutely.
And Russell Gray was there, right?
Oh, yeah, and
Main
many
Street,
others.
Main Street, right? That is Russell Gray, and that's his path, and that's his
100%.
brand. And he and I can relate on, that was a time where we truly had to humble ourselves to be able to really align with what our jobs were.
Yeah, and for you to kind of go back, like I was studying that specific sector in time, like what happened? I wasn't aware of the time, and now I'm delving into real estate and finance. Now I'm researching that whole time period. It was like how much chaos there was. But there's people like you and Russell that learned from that, where you both extracted the good and the lessons out of that to go, okay, this is how the market gets so volatile very quickly. These are the signs we need to look for. Peter Schiff predicted it. I mean, he talks about it all the time.
As did Bruce Morris, yep.
Yep, you have Dr. Mark Skousen, who also predicted that and talked about it. And it was like, interesting. But yet, when you do the flip side of it, 2008 was a terrible time, but at the same time, it forged people like you to realize that there's also lessons that come out of this. It's a very hard time, but there's big lessons that you can learn from it. And I think that's huge. And I know we're coming up to our time, but...
if I may, I just want to talk about one of the lessons I took out of it. Not drinking your own bathwater. It's really important that you learn that you're really good at something and you're in your lane and you want to double down in your lane, and that makes sense. But if you only drink your own bathwater, it made me overexposed in 2009. All my projects were mine. Everything was me. I was in charge of everything. I was overexposed. Now I've learned as a financial advisor specifically to suggest things like syndication deals, which is what you do. Being able to invest in other people's deals, there's value in that as long as you understand the team, as long as you can vet the team. A good team can make a mediocre deal fantastic. A bad team will take a good deal down, period. Right? So being able to have a team like you guys and being able to say, this is going to be a syndication that's going to work. I'm not putting all my own eggs in my own basket. I'm able to diversify into an asset class I don't know, or an asset class I don't have expertise in, or a team that I wouldn't be involved with other than maybe they're out of state. They're in an area or region I don't understand, and now I can rely on the team. That allows you to expand your portfolio and be able to have that counterbalance. And I think people like you guys and what you're up to is hugely important. Young kids, solid sense of direction, good ethics and value, and are well educated and grounded in what it means to actually make a deal work. I think that's important that people know that's part of their portfolio.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for sharing that. I know we're just about to wrap up our episode, but Christina, is there any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share with the audience, where they could follow you, how they can get in touch with you, and expand their portfolio the right way?
Thank you. I have 2 different websites, ChristinaSuter.com. That's Suter, S-U-T-E-R. My husband was a good suitor, but it's not spelled that way. It's S-U-T-E-R. And How to Live a Rich Life. Right?
Awesome.
And I'm on several social media channels, or you can always do the old-fashioned eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly, like one of my mentors used to say. My phone number, 310-463-5942. That's my actual cell phone, 310-463-5942. Text me and let's set up a time to chat, to actually chat, human being to human being.
Christina, I love just how real you are and how upfront you are. I think that it's so rare nowadays for me to see that. It's like, that's just great. Thank you so much. But of course, thank you everyone for listening. Please go get in contact with Christina. Go follow her on social media, and go diversify your portfolio the right way. Build yourself better and bigger every day. Live better, live bigger. Always move ever forward. You've been listening to me, Michael Rebell, on the Ever Forward Mindset podcast, and my guest, fabulous guest, and pleasure to have Christina on the show.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you
I
so much
appreciate
again.
it, Michael.